The downfall of PFL Bellator needs to be studied. This is a collapse that I think only Dana White could have saw coming. This is incredible. We have former Bellator champion, uh, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Bellator fighter of all time, and Patricio Pitbull going off on X on PFL Donn Davis. So we're gonna read that. We're gonna read about his release, and we're gonna talk about what's next for him, what's next for the PFL, and I'm gonna throw in GFL. Um, One I feel is the only organization that will and can grow from this point. Sorry about any weird noises coming from the mic. I don't know what's going on there. But we got Patricio Pitbull Blast, PFL Donn Davis following week changes and Bellator closure. What? Oh, Holly Holm on Saturday UFC. Maybe I'll do a short on that. Anyways, back to this. Patricio Pitbull is furious with Donn Davis and PFL after week's recent format changes and the end of the Bellator brand. It's been no secret that Pitbull's relationship with Davis and his organization has become badly fractured, with the longtime face of Bellator publicly asking for his release on multiple occasions. Now, with PFL announcing changes to its season format and the closure of Bellator, which was acquired by PFL in November 2023, Pitbull has decided to go all in on slamming the league. Self-called co-leader in MMA and uh, I'll just read the uh tweets here. Self-called co-leader in MMA and Fighters First organization is cutting a bunch of fighters and forcing others to take pay cuts up to 70%. No respect for fighter contracts and what they've accomplished. The self-called First organization is also changing its contract so it's almost impossible for fighters to be free agents and to leave on free agency, also tying down fighters' payments for many years and taking away their leverage. The self-called co-leader in MMA is ghosting some fighters slash managers and leaving them with no answer while the owner makes silly and disrespectful posts on social media. Pitbull has been with Bellator since 2010 and over the past 15 years has established himself as the best fighter to compete under the banner. He is the reigning featherweight champion, having won the title 3 times, and also previously held Bellator lightweight gold. Seeing the brand come to an end was a painful blow for the Brazilian veteran, who wrote Bellator was sabotaged by Viacom execs in its last years, then sold to uncaring people that do their best to ruin it. I totally agree with that. As someone who has been with Bellator MMA from the beginning, I've experienced all the ups and downs from the promotion, from Braun Rabeni forcing my brother to fight Eddie Alvarez for $2,500 and forcing contracts that tied fighters forever with low pay to the Coker Kogan era. When fighters were treated with respect, contracts were fair, and the production had a big step up in quality, to Viacom burying it in the channels nobody watched and forcing decisions that administration wasn't in favor of, and dying in PFL's hands, once again lowballing fighters and promising to lock them up forever to exercise every legal right they have. So fighters take as long as possible to become free agents, but don't have a chance uh, to sign for the competition. PFL has retained some of the people that made Bellator work, but zero of the Bellator work, but zero of their values. There we go. Pitbull went on to claim that he recently spoken to Donn Davis and PFL CEO Peter Murray, who accuses who he accuses of unfair business dealings. You wanna know what I've been silent for so long on? I had direct chat with Donn Davis PFL, and he said Pete Murray PFL would would talk to us, and we'd come to a 50-50 agreement, which turned out to be a 100-0 stance in favor of PFL, and then feeding media with fake news about my contract. I've seen Donn Davis tweets and had told myself not to react to them, but after Pete Murray started ghosting us since last week and the official death of Bellator, while hearing about how some fighters are being sent absurd, never ending, well paid deals, I just couldn't stay silent. Hey, Francis Ngannou, are you aware of all the absurd things PFL is doing to the two fighters and putting on the new contracts? Will you ever speak up for us? I'm thinking it's time we start a PFL fighters union. What do you think? Look at the UFC at Donn Davis. They honored their OGs. She asked for a release and they gave it to her. No fuss about it. They they are honorable. That's how big organizations do things. When a fighter doesn't want to continue with them, you should learn from it. And that's dealing with the hallway home exit from the UFC roster, which again I might even make a video on hallway home. Imagine starting your contract at PFL at 10 plus 10, becoming a champion after three fights, fighting for 119 plus 119, which, by the way, this is your show, this is your win. This is how MMA contracts usually work. Losing the belt and going back to 19 and 19, or making 50K, having to agree to be an alternate, and being forced to accept a 10K pay, or you'll be passed for a title shot. Um, ooh, what's this? Another tidbit: PFL title challengers get a 50K bonus on top of their standard purse, plus another 50K win bonus alongside the standard one. PFL champions get a 100K bonus on top of their standard purse, plus another 100K win bonus alongside their standard one. Let's read this. Title challenger, title challenge compensation increase in connection with any title challenge MMA bout in which fighters participate in accordance with the terms of this agreement. Fighter shall be paid an amount that is equal to fighter schedule compensation for fighter standards MMA bouts, with the guaranteed purse increase of an additional 50,000 US, and if applicable, the win bonus increased by an additional 50K US, the challenge premium. Title defense compensation increase in connection with any title defense MMA bout in which fighter participants, in accordance with the terms of this agreement, fighter shall be paid an amount that is equal to the compensation fighter earned in the title challenge MMA bout, with the guaranteed purse increase by an additional 100,000 US, and if applicable, win bonus increase by an additional 100K US. PFL is setting the organization and the contracts in a way that even 5 years from now, no fighter will be able to get paid even 50% of what I currently get. They want fighters tied down to low pay, far less than what top UFC fighters make, but never have the chance to go there. They already, this is a response to, I'll read the pinned tweet first. Honestly, man, Don will probably retain your contract at a fight. Your manager needs to set up that meeting immediately to negotiate your release. Would love to see exiting fighters like you align with an organization that respects and showcases their talent properly. Pitbull, um, he responded saying that's already what they're doing, and carefully worded to not sound like it. They have stopped answering texts since last week. I waited until this morning to have answers. Now I'm sure I'll have some soon. Just a little more context to those questioning about my contract. It was signed years before the sale, when there was no indication Bellator MMA would ever be sold. Ratings and ticket sales for my fights were bigger than every other champion. We had the numbers, we knew my worth. I tagged Francis Nagano because he became a PFL executive and talked in the past about doing what's right for fighters. Now, after that, this came out. Um, because this was, when did he start tweeting here? He started tweeting at 11:16 a.m. today, right? So, longtime Bellator MMA champion Patricio Pitbull released by PFL. Patricio Pitbull Friere is the consensus greatest fighter in the history of Bellator MMA. The longtime featherweight champion and former title holder is also now a free agent after he was released by the Professional Fighter League. PFL founder Donn Davis announced Tuesday. The 37-year-old Brazilian from Brazil has only fought once since Bellator and PFL merged in late 2023 after matchup against Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga did not come to fruition in February 2024. Friere was paired with Canadian Jeremy Kennedy last March and defended his featherweight belt with a third round technical knockout. Friere has been one of the more vocal fighters, openly expressing disappointment and dealing with PFL management since the two UFC rival organizations merged. Now, this is Donn Davis's tweet. We are releasing Patricio Pitbull. PFL and MMA is all about opportunity. I founded this company to create new great opportunities for top fighters. PFL has and will continue to do that for all top fighters who want to be here. But you're not though. You're not though. You have fighters that haven't fought since you brought Bellator. You have fighters who only fight once a year. You're saying you guarantee your fighters two fights a year. And you have so many fighters right now that haven't fought since Bellator was its own company. And we know what happened with Bellator and that. Uh, Friere is 36-7 in MMA and had multiple reigns as Bellator's 145-pound champion. His most notable win was in 2019 when he moved up a division to become simultaneous two-weight champion by finishing Michael Chandler in 61 seconds to win the lightweight title. Friere is the most accomplished fighter of his era to never compete under the UFC banner, which is a total shame. It's honestly a total shame that we've never gotten to see Pitbull at least attempt in the UFC. And now, I know most people who move over to the UFC from Bellator didn't find success. Bellator was actually kind of like the retirement league. You saw people like Chael Sonnen go over there, Rampage Jackson, Gegard Mousasi, who left on that massive winning streak and kept going on. like, dude, PFL had so much momentum when they signed Francis Ngannou. And then you add on the boxing matches that made Francis a household name. Even with people who don't follow combat sports, they know who um Francis Ngannou is. Good lord. But like, dude, this organization completely shit the bed. They they could have made a competitor for the UFC. Again, the UFC went bankrupt multiple times, both before Dana and the Fertitas bought it, after Dana and the Fertitas bought it, but they made it work. I know that fighter pay has been a topic for a while now, and the way these contracts work if you don't know, is that you get into the UFC. I think it's 15 show, 15 win, and each contract you get, that will move up by 15. So you got 30 and 30, you got 45 and 45, 60 and 60, 75, 75, 95, 95, and then it goes up to 115, 115, and then if you win the belt, you get uh you get a contract with pay-per-view bonus. It could be anywhere from 250 to 50 to 500, 500, 1 mil, 1 mil, depending on how much money you bring in, right? But like, dude, this needs to be studied. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is horrific, man. Because imagine you're a UFC fighter, this or an MMA fighter, I'll say, and this is what you do for a living. You're not fighting at all for 2 years. You have no income whatsoever. You're basically living off of whatever you got on your last fight. And keep in mind, you have to pay for camps, you have to pay for medical, you have to pay taxes. And at the end of all of that, these fighters who are on lower contracts, they're only bringing home like 15K, 20K if they're lucky. If they win a fight bonus, that's an extra 50K. Maybe you can offset your medical bills. Maybe you can offset your training camp costs and all that stuff. But like, dude, this is brutal, man. Like, nobody wants to sign with any other organization but the UFC. Like, it's brutal, and that's what gives the UFC this monopoly. Like, I referenced GFL, and if I didn't, I'm bringing them up now. You look at GFL, right? They're saying 50-50 revenue share. I know that they have Silicon Valley backing them, but there's only so much money you can pour into a business, whether it's fighting, whether it's sports related, whatever kind of business it is, you need to make a profit. If you don't make a profit, you're not going to have those investors. Unless they're, you know, Tur- Turkish Ali or, yeah, Turkish Ali or the Saudis or that Indian family that's apparently putting on KSI versus Conor McGregor, which should not happen, right? But like, dude, I feel bad for these fighters. I feel bad for these people that sign these long contracts where they're not allowed to compete in any kind of combat. Like, I know that the UFC has submission matches that you can do. I don't know how much you get paid for that. I guess you got power swap if you want to go do that. I don't know how much that pays though, but it's brutal, man. It's brutal. Like, as much as I love this sport, I look at it from a human side, right? Where you, these people are gambling their entire careers. They're gambling their health, their livelihood, everything. And only 0.01% make it to the top. Like, the UFC has 500 fighters, around something like that. There's, you got the top 15. Um, let's see, how many, let me look up how many divisions are there. Uh, UFC ranking. Oh, oh, come on. So you got 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you got 11 divisions. You got 15 at the top 15. So what's that? 11 times 15. So it's 165 ranked fighters. Now, how many how many fighters are signed to the UFC? Um, so the last number I can get is 578. So let's take 578 the minus 165. So it's 413 fighters that are unranked that are making 15-15, and they usually only get like the average UFC career is 4 to 6 fights. So, you know, four times 15. What's that? 4 times 15. So at 60K. Let's say you win two of them. That's an extra 30K. So 90K. Say you cut. That's before you pay coaches, you pay medical. That's 90K. Then you're paying taxes, so that probably goes down to like 20K, 30K if you're lucky, depending on where you live, your state tax, your federal tax, all that stuff. The UFC is not gonna have any competition anytime soon. It would take like maybe a Russian organization, and even then, with everything going on in the world right now, I don't know how distribution would work with that. It would need to be like somebody who understands this game, probably worked for the UFC for decades and understands the business side of it. But like GFL is only gonna be around for 2 years max. GFL is gonna be dead in the next few months. The UFC has no competition. But this is a video I wanted to make quickly. Um, I hope this works out for Patricio Pitbull. I would love to see him in the UFC for a few fights. I would always going to see that. I know he's older, but hey, give him the Chandler rematch. Give him a big fight. throw him on a pay per view. Give that guy a payday, man. He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this situation? What do you think about the downfall of PFL? And do you honestly think that the UFC will ever have any kind of competitive organization? I know one is out there, one is massive uh, in the eastern part of the world. It is getting bigger in North America, I'll give them that. But yeah, other than that, that's what I got. Later.